Taylor Swift is a musical goddess, one of the best-selling artists of all time with a reach that surpasses those of Madonna and even Micheal Jackson. She was and still is the poster girl of American music, and for many years it seemed like she could do no wrong. But everything changed swiftly when she began to express her opinions about politics and faith. So, what exactly are these opinions? And is Taylor Swift really a Christian? Politics and religion are two unavoidable parts of our lives. Yet, the complexity and controversy around them are such that most high-profile entertainers avoid discussing them in public. It's almost like there's an unwritten rule that prohibits these special beings among us from speaking about the two things that impact our lives the most. And in case you didn't know, the consequences of violating this rule can be quite devastating. The overwhelming wave of trolls can sometimes drown out the successes of an entire career. And if left unchecked, a fan's favorite can very quickly become public enemy number one. Such are the consequences of publicly speaking about your beliefs in a world where lies have taken the place of truth and bad behavior is branded as woke culture. But even at that, the amount of hate directed towards Taylor Swift is unprecedented and perhaps uncalled for. In the last few months, the anti-Swift brigade has become one of the most active troll legions in the entire world. They work relentlessly every single day and twice as hard on days when the music superstar gets recognized for the big awards. On the 6th of December, 2023, Swift was named the Times Magazine Person of the Year, making her the first woman in history to receive the title twice. Explaining the reasoning behind her selection, Sam Jacobs, the magazine's editor, said, "Every year contains light and dark. 2023 was a year with significant shares of darkness. In a divided world, where too many institutions are failing, Taylor Swift found a way to transcend borders and be a source of light. No one else on the planet today can move so many people so well." But apparently, many people on social media didn't see the music star in this light. Reacting to the award, a supposed Christian brother Eric Kahn had this to say on X. "It's shameful and sad that a hyper-promiscuous, childless woman, Taylor Swift, aging and alone with a cat, has become the heroine of a feminist age." The tweet has been viewed over 22 million times and liked by over 5,000 people, meaning several other people also share this sentiment. So, how did the most loved pop star on the planet become the most hated? Why has America turned against its biggest musical asset? Well, given the barrage of insults that has been hauled her way, even a crime investigator would struggle to pinpoint the exact moment Swift became an outcast in the eyes of the American people. But it appears that the switch happened sometime in 2018 when she began lending her voice to political issues. After receiving huge criticisms for her silence during the 2016 election, Swift has started to involve herself more in talks regarding politics, publicly airing her opinion about the biggest political actors and taking sides in major polls. However, the defining moment came in 2018 when she criticized and denounced Republican candidate Marsha Blackburn and endorsed her Democratic opponent Phil Bredesen ahead of the Tennessee Senate election. "As much as I have in the past and would like to continue voting for women in office, I cannot support Marsha Blackburn," Swift wrote in an Instagram post, adding that her voting record in Congress appalls and terrifies me on issues affecting women and the LGBT community. Swift's comment was a huge blow to the ambition of Marsha Blackburn, who was a strong supporter of then-President Donald Trump. But ultimately, it was enough to secure victory for Phil Bredesen, who lost by double digits. Socially and politically, Swift had arrived at the point of no return. More significantly, while making a case against Marsha Blackburn, Swift made a public declaration about her faith.
And see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we stand for.
We don't exactly know if this was intentional or not, and the footage wasn't seen until 2020 when her Netflix documentary, Miss Americana, was released. But the words she said in that clip would go on to change how she is seen and judged by the public, especially Americans. Ultimately, it was clear that the moment Swift started airing her liberal views and endorsing Democrats, she had inherited a multitude of haters right from the White House to the suburbs in California. However, it seems as though the bar of criticism has been specifically raised when it comes to Swift because the world expects her to live in a certain type of way after she publicly declared herself to be a Christian. Even worse, many purists still judge Swift by her past just to paint her in a bad light and validate their evil and biased opinion about her. And when we say past, Taylor Swift doesn't exactly have a skeleton hanging in her cupboard. In fact, considering what some of her colleagues have done and are still doing, Swift is that one celebrity who could pass for a saint. Aside from the feud with Kanye West and a few litigations, she had very little or no scandal. She's only a self-made billionaire from a middle-class family who makes great music. Yet, somehow, millions of people have continued to persecute her in a country that's supposed to be the land of the free. While researching for this video, we stumbled on tons of Taylor Swift hate content with no solid reasoning behind it. Some hate her for the mere fact that she's been a lover girl who has had 12 boyfriends in the last 16 years. Others think the growth and wide acceptance her music has received is fueled by some evil spiritual powers. And despite publicly claiming to be a Christian, many people seem to believe she's the devil's incarnate. We were curious. How could these many people hate Taylor Swift so much? At some point, we started to think there could be something she had done or said that we didn't know about. So, out of curiosity, we searched the words Taylor Swift religion, and the things we saw were despicable, to say the least. But before we reveal them, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel to enjoy more interesting content like this one. With that said, let's get back to the issue at hand. This particular video says the tragic confession of Taylor Swift, while the thumbnail text reads the spiritual decline of Taylor Swift. Another video suggests she has a problem with God. This YouTuber thinks he is proof she's sold her soul to the devil, while this guy right here is asking if she casts spells on her listeners. This one really caught our attention. So, we decided to watch it, and we weren't too comfortable with the argument.
Taylor Swift is one of the most popular pop singers of our day. People have been experiencing amnesia going to her concerts. Her views on karma, as well as family and marriage, are extremely troubling.
He put up. In reality, there have been people who claim to have amnesia after attending Taylor Swift's shows, but not in the way it was represented in that video. Just to be sure, we did some digging and we found this clip of one of the so-called victims of Taylor Swift's amnesia. In another shocking story, a self-acclaimed Christian activist asked that Taylor Swift and her boyfriend be executed because the latter appeared in a COVID-19 vaccination ad. In the end, there was no real substance to the story, and just like this vile tweet from earlier on, it seemed like people were just hating on Swift for no reason. But just when we were trying to make sense of all of it, we stumbled on a video where Tony Woods, a California pastor, questioned her emergence as Times Person of the Year. Speaking further during the sermon, the preacher said, "Taylor Swift can never lay her body over that chasm, allowing us to walk over it to get into the graces of a mighty God. There is only one who ever could, and his name is Jesus." Now, Taylor Swift has quite a lot of connection with Christianity. She lived part of her teenage years in Tennessee, which is one of the 10 states that belong to the Bible Belt, a socially conservative region dominated by devoutly religious Americans. And you probably could make an entire sermon from her lyrics. But she is no Jesus, and she has never claimed to be, which is why it is even more bewildering that she's getting so much hate for winning an award that has been won in the past by people like Adolf Hitler and Vladimir Putin. Surely, with the questionable traits of these two men and the sheer evil of what they have done, Taylor Swift couldn't possibly be the worst person to ever be named Times Person of the Year. Because, as far as we all know, Swift hasn't led a movement that killed over 11 million people, including 6 million Jews. And a certain notorious Russian leader, she hasn't interfered in another country's election or started a war that has killed over 500,000 people. Now, the purpose of this video is not to say Swift is a saint or that she deserves to be named Times Person of the Year. Of course, she's not the most devoted Christian celebrity out there. In fact, in times past, she has publicly endorsed some things that go against the doctrine of Christianity. And in today's world that is full of evil and darkness, she's probably not the brightest ray of light and hope that we're all looking for. But the message here is that no one has the right to play God over her. She has the right to publicly discuss her faith and political views.